thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first podcast on this YouTube channel. It's going to be a weekly one. It's going to be every Monday night at 7 p.m. to replace the World Football podcast. Format's going to be a bit more different. There's going to be a lot of arguments between me and Reece. Me and Reece never agree on anything ever in football. So it will get very feisty, and we'll be talking all about my Manchester United. You know, we're winning championships back in the day. How John Terry slipped in a Champions League final. You know, this podcast will cover past, future, present, and everything in between. So Reece is going to be on with me every single week. Mainly just be me and him, just to save the hassle of going on and getting other guests, especially during the summer. It's not particularly easy. But Reece, this should be a good wee podcast series during the summer, shouldn't it?
Aye, it should be. We're going to have a bit of a laugh, eh? A Scotsman and an Irishman. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you know, we're not going to the Euros, like, so, you know, I just have to...
Well, you're not, but we are, so...
Yes, we will get on to that. Shane O'Donnell and Hallie, thank you very much for joining. So we're going to get straight into it, because I said this whole thing will take care of itself. So we're going to start off with what happened a week ago. From last week, obviously the Europa League Final, where I know you were hurting a lot, and just hello Miss Kaza, thank you very much for joining in. So the Europa League Final, yeah.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go when it comes to Europa League? Because frankly, you know me, I've got the time, and there is a lot there that does need to be addressed, and there's some things that may have went under the radar. So
listen, you know, this is like the World Football Podcast. We go for at least a max of 2 hours, so you know we'll absolutely get through it. So first of all, the team selection. There was nothing wrong with the team selection, was there? The team was exactly... There was no McFred. Pogba was in the midfield. Green was started on the right. That's exactly what you wanted, but maybe you would have been better off with McFred.
You know what? Thinking back on it, not really. I still think it was... I know it sounds daft because he always goes McFred in the big games, but see, just... Okay, randomly my door opens out the blue. That's funny. You know, just getting the feeling about watching the final, like in the 90 minutes, even though like we were the stronger team, like there were incidences, maybe we did need McFred, but to be honest, I don't think we did. We weren't clinical enough. That was the only problem, really. Like there were other things, of course, that take precedence, but I thought the lineup was accurate.
Villarreal, obviously now. Unai Emery's a weird manager because when he joined Arsenal, he said that he would rather win 4-3 than 1-0. Yeah, that Villarreal team,
exciting, yeah.
But that Villarreal team literally did play probably like that was like a Sean Dice and a Diego Simeone team put together. It was a 4-4-2, sit deep. The only thing they did do was they tried to play from the back. They tried to play the ball well. You know, they didn't hit it long. So they did try and play football, but they sat really deep. And Unai, this is the thing. Every single manager knows if you sit deep against United, they will struggle. And it seems like Solskjaer still has not figured out a way.
That's why I'm buzzing about today, because the links for Kieran Trippier to Man United are building like rapid. Like the Trippier to Man United reports have gathered a lot in the last 2 days, and I know it's a bit of an odd signing, Kieran Trippier, but the fact is I'm actually all for it, because in terms of the low block teams, especially Villarreal, and you mentioned Burnley as well, I think in those games next season I'd have more confidence. Especially if it's him that's playing in those games and not Wan-Bissaka. I would use Wan-Bissaka for the likes of Liverpool. And I would use Trippier in these games because he's going to bring such a creative threat.
You see, that's the interesting, because you feel bad for Wan-Bissaka because defensively he's great. He's great, but the fact is, modern football, you need attacking fullback. There's
Sadly.
There's no covering. You look at Spurs. They don't have an attacking right back, and they've struggled this season. You've got Reece.
I think Doherty was a lot. I thought he was better than Reguilon. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was better.
Doherty's only good in a back three. He can't play as an out-and-out right back. He needs to play as the wing back. You've seen that with Wolves. When you look at Reece James, Cancelo, Kyle Walker,
comfortable in either.
There's a ton of other good right backs. Obviously in the league too. I'll be here naming them all day. So is it one of his cases? When you look at obviously Trent now Garcia gets called 4 right backs up to the England squad. Yep. Though there seems to be a lot of rumours that Trent's going to play in the midfield. Which do you think Wan-Bissaka maybe goes into a centre back, or maybe if you play a back three, he plays like as a right centre back, like as Sqaud does?
I said that a few times. I wouldn't mind Wan-Bissaka as a right-sided centre-back in the back three, because he does get caught out a lot in terms of a full-back position, but in terms of defence, he's extremely solid, and he's got the pace. I think he would complement Maguire very well, to be honest. Even in the back four, if you played him as a 2, I actually think he would cope, but you would have to play Trippier beside him. But one thing about that, if that does happen, if we do get the Trippier signing, is we can either play a 3-4-3, or realistically, you could play Wan-Bissaka beside Maguire, play Trippier out on the right-hand side, and Wan-Bissaka can cover Trippier as well when Trippier bombs forward. So he's got the pace to handle it. So either or works for me personally. I'd be happy with that.
The thing is, though, it shows some people's lack of understanding of football, because when people think, how does Kieran Trippier get into the squad? He was one of Atletico Madrid's best player. It's not a coincidence when Trippier was out injured. That's when Atletico Madrid had a slouch. That's when they were in bad form, because his crosses into the box to Suarez, Felix, Dembele, his defensive ability. He's very smart when he goes back and forth. And
Simeone also went on record saying he didn't bring him in for the defensive work because he knew that he wasn't the best defensive fullback, but he knew attacking wise he would be perfect for the right hand side, which he felt was a problem.
And
that's
obviously,
what Simeone's smart about.
And obviously, when you look, he obviously had a bad time at Spurs. He scored a really embarrassing goal against Chelsea when he tried to pass it back to Lloris, and it ended up going all the way into the goal. But when you look at all Spurs defenders literally are terrible. There's not one good Spurs defender, So maybe it's just a Spurs curse. We'll get on to Antonio Conte later on.
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about that. It gives me bad thoughts.
It's interesting the way where he's going, because he said he only wants 3 jobs, and he listed 2 English clubs as a potential route, and one of them was Man United, the other was Tottenham.
So with the Europa League final, I think the really annoying thing is now going into this game, you were probably off the bad end. You're going into this game off the bad run of form, a bad run of results. So, but it's the fact that the lack of urgency from Manchester United, they looked like there was no game plan, there was no structure. It was kind of I know you don't like Mark Goldbridge, but he made a very, very good point that
What did he say?
it was about the game where he basically said that you had your system. So you had Pogba, McTominay in the midfield. You had your two fullbacks pushing up, but then you had your attacking four in a line. Like your whole front four was just like no one was dropping. There was no movement. There was no passes to the option. It's like Solskjaer set that team up the field and never adjusted throughout the whole game, which Unai Emery did in the second half.
Yeah, I noticed that the subs he made were very intricate. Like he had two strikers on at the start of the first half, and then hey Daniel, all good, thanks. You saw it in the first half, Gerard Moreno playing up top with Carlos Bacca, and he recognised that Bacca wasn't doing anything in the game. So he brought back off, and then he brought on more wingers. So he sort of recognised. I ended up playing a winger up top with Moreno. So yeah, I agree. Like he did make key changes. Solskjaer, like when you mentioned he just played the front four in a line. Basically, what Goldbridge is saying, if I'm interpreting him correctly, he's basically saying the front four was just flat with the two midfielders. But
yeah,
throughout that game, the best player was probably McTominay, and that says a lot. Like really, that he was the best. He wasn't just the best player on the pitch for like United. He was probably the best player on the pitch the whole game. Like there was serious problems on that pitch.
Do you think it's been a big issue though this whole season? When you have won games, you've won them 1-0 or 2. United for having Greenwood, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani on the pitch. You don't score a lot of goals. It's a team that does rely on scoring a goal. It's like Solskjaer tries to play the attacking way, but the structure, the movement, the idea, the patterns of play is not there. Now, Solskjaer said that Solskjaer has came out admittedly and said that he doesn't coach the team. He tells his coaches, Mike Phelan, McKenna, Fletcher what to do, and they go and do it. McKenna is from the academy. Mike Phelan
is from the dark ages.
Is probably outdated, yeah. And Fletcher, this guy literally, I don't know if he actually does anything.
Fletcher's the bridge at the director of football. It's more like Michael Carrick, and I don't know what Carrick coaches. I don't think he coaches a banana peel.
Well, when you look at Fred and McTominay, they don't really play like Michael Carrick, do they? So
apparently Carrick works closely with Fred. So I'd like to know what he's coaching him. Like I really do. Like I would like to know. And my biggest problem is you just mentioned there is. It's not the manager that's coaching, he's delegating. So that's a problem for me personally, because I know Sir Alex Ferguson in the latter years, he delegated, but he had the perfect coaching staff. So as he was getting older, he knew he could run the games as a manager, the coaching staff, he'll let them do the job on the training pitch. But Solskjaer's not that level of a manager, so I don't believe he should be delegating. I think he should be heavily involved. He needs to see where his coaching staff are going right and going wrong. And for me, Phelan has got to be replaced. I don't think he's good enough for the modern game. I think McKenna was promoted too early. And Michael Carrick, he's brilliant up here. Like in his head, he's got a smart footballing brain. But I don't know whether he is actually necessary for the main coaching staff. I would rather him just be working on the pitch, but not be a main coach, like one of the main guys. I would rather it be like a Rennie Mullenstein or a Carlos Queiroz. Like I would be happy if those two came back to Man United in some form of capacity, because that would benefit massively.
Even though Solskjaer's been in the job the longest, obviously Lampard didn't survive at Chelsea. Arteta is hanging on by the strings. I think this shows Solskjaer's inexperience, because he worked with Sir Alex. The only reason why he's in the Manchester United job is because of Sir Alex. He's obviously trying to replicate the Man United way, so to speak. So obviously he doesn't have confidence in himself to go and coach the team. Yeah. And obviously he's trying to replicate the greatest manager of all times ways of things. But the thing is, if you look at the course of Solskjaer's time when he's been a full-time manager, his coaching ways, his way of doing things on the training pitch has not worked over the course of because it's not successful. Yeah. It's not like it's successful going at Manchester United without a trophy. You can finish second, but second's not a trophy.
Very true.
So, and he sticks with the same coaching staff. That's not going to change. There's no way he's going to get rid of Mike Phelan. There's no way,
he probably won't. No, so, I agree.
And obviously you've said that Solskjaer needs to win 2 trophies next season. And
I have said that on numerous occasions. Yeah, you're
in the Champions League. So does the League Cup count as a trophy to you at all, or
it's a trophy? Like it's a good trophy to have. if we won that, say in January or February, whenever the final's going to be, and hopefully, if we won that and it's used as a stepping stone, I'll be happy. But it's not the one that I want to say he deserves to keep his job.
I think Reece will agree with me. I don't know if you have any specialised coaches, but if you have a defensive set piece coach, get rid of him.
It's Kieran McKenna. Kieran McKenna handles defence.
Oh, you're defending on set piece. Like
That's why I want Carlos Queiroz. He's renowned for defensive coaching.
Solo marking, it does not work. Solo marking it's credible to football. Like it does. Like Lampard. It's not convenience. Like Lampard. Lampard did solo marking when he came in. Chelsea and set pieces were the worst in the Premier League, and that's in the first season.
I remember watching a few games where you were absolutely abysmal. Like I remember the draw against Sheffield United. Was it 2-2, 3-3? It was a very late goal. You were going to win that game, and then you conceded very late. Coincidentally, it was from an indirect free kick into the box, and Tomori, being relatively inexperienced, he lost his man, and then bang, Sheffield United scored. So I agree, you were terrible, and I remember that game specifically.
Thank you, WJ, for coming. I know you'll be probably jumping to Nathan's watch along very soon, but thank you very much for coming and saying hello. Hopefully I still got that. Hopefully maybe we still got that go tag. Otherwise we're gonna have to. I know big slouching on uploads, but as Reece knows, I've had a difficult month, so we're processing back into film videos. So what I was going to say was, solo marking hasn't worked, and we brought in a coach called Anthony Barry, who joined us from Wigan, who was known to be a defence. He was very, very, very good at set pieces, very good at defending. Under Lampard and Tuchel, since he came in, what's our defence been? Probably one of the best in the league. So
he was recommended by Jody Morris, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like when Lampard was manager, Jody Morris recommended him.
My candidate has River City over. Actually, I'd rather watch this.
River fucking shit, which means my mum will probably be watching it because she watches that shite too.
So it does literally show experienced coaches who know their jobs, know their roles, have a philosophy in that specific area. Because Anthony Barry has literally turned on defence. And listen, if Thomas Tuchel's keeping you on for a certain role, it shows you do a good job, because obviously Tuchel is an incredible mastermind in his head, as we'll get on to. But the Europa League final itself, obviously, up until you started the game slowly. You had a good maybe 20-minute period in the second half, yet you still were not that creative. You didn't really create too much. Ferreal had their second choice goalkeeper, and the guy was barely tested. And he did look a bit suspect. If you took maybe a couple of shots from far range, I think you might have got a bit of luck, but you don't shoot from outside the box, and if you do, it's Fred, and we all know how that ends. I know. I seen your posts on Twitter, but you were massively surprised about how slow and how unurgent Man United were for being in a European final.
Yeah, I don't think I. The one thing is, I got a message from someone who's a Man United fan. I've long deleted it because I thought it was just a load of crap. But the message was like, I'm used to seeing so much positivity from you, and I've never seen so much negativity. Like, what the fuck? And I literally went back saying, it's that game. Like, I genuinely, we were so slow. I didn't see any urgency. Like, I didn't see anything that says we should win. And also, I was on a different channel at the time. I'd done a watch along for the game, and sitting there for the whole 120 minutes plus penalties, I was sitting there going, I don't know where the win's coming from. Like, it was literally sideways, back to Pogba, into the box, sideways, repeat. And I was like, Villarreal went direct once from a free kick. Shaw lost his man. Lindelof got beat, no surprise. And then bang, they scored. But we didn't have any, if we had actually went direct that whole night, we would have had that game done in 90 minutes. It would never have went to extra time. If we went direct, but we didn't. We just kept going sideways. And then the goal we scored, credit to Cavani for scoring in the final, but the ball fell to him. It wasn't anything special. But Cavani's a type of striker where he will score from anywhere. If you put him on a sixpence, as they used to say back in the ancient times, put him on a sixpence, he'll score. And he did. But other than that, there was nothing else. We had 3 shots on target. Villarreal had 1.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
And the thing is, so Wales are playing France in a friendly today, and they're just Mbappe and Benzema and Griezmann all starting for them.
That's for France. I don't, like, no disrespect to, obviously, and we've got a few Welsh pals and all that, but do they have to start all three against them?
Well, here's the team: Pavard, Varane, Mbappe, Hernandez, Tassilo, Pogba, Rabiot, Griezmann, Benzema, and Mbappe. That's a full team. That's a full.
What is he scared of? Losing to Wales? No disrespect to the Welsh, or is he just trying to keep his squad fit? Because I know they play Wales tonight. I think they've got another game coming up, but even so, like
Wales are playing a 4-4-2 with Chris Beppen and Joe Rodon centre back, Nico Williams, the young Liverpool man, in midfield with Gareth Bale and Dan James up front. Good luck, Wales.
Two wingers up top. That's
hello, Mike Green. Have you seen the Scotland team
tonight? I haven't. But I've got a feeling anyway.
I'll read it out quickly, just because obviously we'll not be by the time I read out, by the time we get to Scotland team, the friendly's going to start it. So I'll read it out now, just so we're on track. And you only have a 19-man squad because you've got a couple of, I think you've got 7 people out with COVID problems.
That's right.
So it's Craig Gordon in goal, Kieran Tierney, Jack Hendry, Liam Cooper, Angie Robertson, Stuart Armstrong, Callum McGregor, David Turnbull, James Forrest, Lyndon Dykes, and Ryan Christie. And then
5-2-1-2.
And then your bench is Scott McTominay, Greg Taylor, Declan Gallagher, Kevin Nisbet, Ryan Fraser, John McLaughlin, Billy Gilmore, and Scott McKenna. You've only been able to name a certain amount of subs. You're missing 4 of them because of the COVID problems.
Che Adams is a big miss.
And you'll be happy to know that the Dutch have gone a full strength team. Delic, Van Aldem, and looked along. Why? I thought these were friendlies.
They're just going to keep the squads fit for the Euros, I suppose, to make sure they're all fine fit. But to be fair, I'm happy with that. I like the fact that the Dutch are respecting us enough to give them a full strength team. And I suppose I'm sure Welsh fans would be the same. Like, they'll be glad France have gone full strength, even though you would expect France to win that. But they're showing them proper respect. They're not playing a second shit squad. They're playing full strength against them.
Germany full strength. Nicholas Neuer, Schuller, Hummels, Ginter, Kusterman, Nadubish, Simic, Gushna, Sane, Muller, and Gnabry. 3-4-3. That's a new formation, doesn't it? Because he normally plays 4-2-3-1.
He's not played 4-2-3-1 since the World Cup. He's changed that around to 3-4-3 and a 3-4-2-1. So he likes to dip and divert. Yeah. He's played 4-3-3 at times, but yeah, John Fleck is shit. He should never have got in that team. He should have been wearing gold.
And then the England team is Pickford, Trent, Cody, Mings, Trippier, Grealish, Rice, Bellerin, Lingard, Harry Kane, and Saka. And then on the bench is Calvert-Lewin, Godfrey, Phillips, White, Watkins, Ward-Prowse, Jordan Henderson, Sancho, and then Mr. Reece's favourite man, Aaron Ramsdale. But we'll keep you all up to date. We'll keep you all up to date with the
Germany. I'm going Germany to win. The only teams that actually matter to me, because I know the Italians aren't playing tonight, so I'm going Germany to win 3-0, and I'm going Scotland to beat Holland 2-1.
Well, it's only a friendly, so I guess I'll let you be bold. But as I said, we'll keep you up to date. We'll keep you up to date with
England playing?
Austria.
I'm going 2-2 in that game. I think that's going to be a high-scoring draw.
If Aaron Ramsdale comes on, you never know.
Aaron Ramsdale comes on, I'll definitely be spot on.
But as I said, we'll keep you up to that's all the lineups for everyone. As Mike Green says, everything pretty much is full strength. So we'll keep you up to date. But back to the Europa League.
Absolutely.
So we need to. It's hard to break this game down because it's hard to break down, but it's not, because the game was quite simplistic up until the penalty shootout, and things logic just went out the window on that. But
we won't be going there tonight. We're not going to the penalty shootout. We just can't.
But with the overall game, so as I said, you literally did not create any chances, and you barely created, and you got lucky for your goal.
Yes,
an element of luck. Now moving on to extra time, because yes, Doug, I got your videos. Your videos are in StreamYard for when we get to the actual Scotland score later on, when we go into more detail about it. What did you make of Solskjaer subs and the timing of them?
If anyone can remember my Twitter account on the day of the Europa League, you'll know exactly that I was not happy. I was not happy by the fact that he took off Paul Pogba for Dan James. I was not happy that he brought on Twanzebe when I believe he should have started. I was a bit perplexed that Fred came on, but in understanding like midfield, you want to have a little bit of energy in there. So okay, Riverside, interesting. You also look just the length of time as well. Like it really was annoying. Like if you're going to make a sub, don't wait until the 106th minute. You get it done in 90 minutes. Like even
especially when you have 6 subs when you go into the extra time too.
Yeah, if you haven't used one, you get an extra. Yeah, like so it really is annoying that we should have. Like, I think he should have made 1 or 2 subs in 90 minutes to at least try and control the game. As much as I like Marcus Rashford, he was absolutely appalling in that final, and he's not going to be the only one. Like I'm going to mention, like Pogba was terrible. Bruno Fernandes was like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Like I didn't see him all night. I thought Greenwood was impressive, even though he had a lot to deal with. Cutting in, he had 2 men on him each time. Luke Shaw wasn't his best game at all. I've not said that in a long time. Wan-Bissaka was relatively decent. De Gea, he got a lot of stick. Unfairly, like he's not a penalty shooter goalkeeper, so I would have had Henderson come on before the shootout started. I would have made that sub. Cavani was everywhere, he just wasn't getting service, and McTominay was probably the best player on the pitch. So it says it all, really. But I thought Ahmad should have came on for Rashford because Rashford was not in it that whole game. Like he was not getting anything, and you could tell by the way he's been playing. Like confidence, form, injuries, they are catching up to him, and it's catching up to him very quickly. Like I believe he should have been given a rest, and given the last half an hour, if you want to play extra time, you play Rashford for the extra. You play Ahmad for the extra time. I would have been fine with that. That wouldn't have been a problem. Switch 4-4-2, put Greenwood up top with Cavani, and play Dan James as a right-sided winger, or play Ahmad on the right and put James on the left. Go 4-4-2. I don't care, like whatever you do, but it wasn't working, and no surprise we didn't create anything because our best players were either not in the game or they were injured.
To Michael's point there about Rashford, right? It's no secret, and you know that Rashford has played with a lot of injuries this season,
massively.
You know, you look at it from 2 different ways here, or there's 2 different ways. Do you blame Solskjaer for basically saying, right, Rashford, you're going to play if you like it or not, or do you look at it from the fact that he had no choice because there was literally no one else on that left hand side?
I think you can. I think if you look at it from both sides, there is a bit. I think I'm going to have to be honest and say there's a bit of both. He could easily play Pogba. I think Van de Beek could have been perfect for this game against Villarreal. Like I know he hasn't played a lot, but I would have given him a chance. Another thing as well, if you're looking at left wing, I would have put maybe Alex Telles up there, like as an attacking presence. I know he came on to take a penalty, and Juan Mata did as well. But this sort of creative players, like they could have been much better throughout the game if we'd used them. I would have considered Alex Telles out there, or you put Van de Beek in the pivot beside McTominay, play Pogba on the left wing. At least we'll have something, and bring Rashford off the bench if it's absolutely necessary. But to start him in that final, I think there's a bit of where he had to play him because you need your best players to win. But you're playing your best players detriment to their health when they're not in the best of fitness, best of form. It's not exactly the best option at times, and you saw it in the final. Like Rashford was pretty much nowhere to be seen, really, except he scored a penalty.
Well, if you were Marcus Rashford, it is difficult, okay, because this is the Euros. England want to win a massive international tournament. But you look at Greenwood. Greenwood as a young kid probably would have made the England squad over Saka potentially. He could have played a big part. He pulled out probably for a much less injury situation than Marcus Rashford. Obviously, Rashford has stayed. He's going to stay. But if you were Rashford, would you play for your country within this pain? You're only going to get a 2 weeks rest before you have to go back to United when the Euros end, or would you say, listen, I need to take this full break?
So if I was Marcus Rashford from his point of view, for me personally, I wouldn't go. If I know I'm in that sort of pain where I'm having to rely on injections just to play, then it's not good it's not good at all. Because we've seen it with other players as well, like with injuries. Like it can be quite dangerous. I, for one, wouldn't go, even if it meant playing for my country and having a chance of winning something. I believe club football is more important, and you should be fit for the club season. And then international football is just a perk of having a good season. It's a bonus. I think he should have personally had said that I'm not in the best shape, I'm not in the best of health. I should go and he's getting surgery after the Euros. Like, he should be getting the surgery during the Euros to determine how long he's going to potentially be out for, but instead he's going. If he gets seriously injured, we could end up losing him all season. And that's the thing that worries me. So I think I can see where he's coming from, but I also think he's been incredibly stupid. I don't think he should have went, personally. I think he should have stayed at home.
Do you think this could have ramifications for Manchester United? I think they go all the way to the semi-final final. He'll only. I think people correct me in the chat room, but I think these international players once it finishes on the 11th of July only get a 2-week or 3-week before they have to go straight back.
2 weeks, yeah.
Before they straight back into preseason again, and
Mm-hmm.
as far as I'm aware too, that preseason this year, because the fact they didn't get preseason last year, is going to be quite heavy, training wise, game wise, and stuff. So, Paul, I've played 3 injuries. It was silly, but Paul, I must have been like 20 years ago.
To be fair, so I've done it as well, but I regretted it in the long term. I regretted it.
Hello. Thank you for coming. You're a regular in my chat these days. It's good to see you. See people talking about the Champions League. We will get there.
Mel's nice.
I'll bring all this. She's been very supportive. Obviously, if she got me, met me, was it Stephen Falley, the Arsenal fan, who does charity streams, and also I think I actually predicted us to lose that game. I was right in the end because I'm a smart man.
I predicted you get to the Champions League final in the last 16. So top that.
We're not going to go there because we'll know some of my predictions with you have not gone to plan.
Prediction-wise, I'm much better than you. I just got one completely annoyingly wrong.
You see, this is the point that my friend made. Mike Green's actually echoing what my friend Luke Carson, who you know very well from Twitter, or Red Hand, as you might know him better from. He said this quite a lot. Rashford's career could be over by 26.
I've compared that as well. Like numerous times when we've spoken, I've compared Rashford's injury problems and constant issues. It reminds me of the likes of Van Basten. He was at the absolute top of his game, and then he was done by 28. He was gone. And obviously he's had different injuries to Rashford, but it's still a valid comparison of at the top of his game. But he was so badly injured, he was forced to retire before during his prime years. Rashford isn't even in his prime yet, and he might not even get to it if his career's done by then.
I can still do a job as a team plan. Paul, I know you won't be here. I know you won't be in my stream when I'm announcing something, but keep an eye in the chat on Nathan's stream for me, because I do have a question for Nathan and for you in the chat. So do keep an eye out for that. Reece can back me up here. Doug did actually predict Villarreal to win Europa League from the very beginning when we did the round of 16 and round of 32 prediction. So
he did. Obviously, I chose not to listen because obviously my club were in it, and obviously so was these guys. But I didn't get the final I actually wanted. But I still got to see some of my clubs playing in the tournament. But yeah, he did predict Villarreal, and it's only because Emery. If it had been somebody else in charge, he would never have said Villarreal.
And so, as I said, besides this one more thing about the Villarreal goal, Lindelof. Honestly, Lindelof's a weird guy, right? He's not ever been known as a great centre back yet. Mourinho still picked him. Solskjaer literally loves the man to death. If you see this guy, could you seriously see yourself winning the Premier League next season with him at centre back, regardless if it's with Tansebi, Baye, Varane, Harry Maguire? The fact that he's getting physically bad as a centre back is never good, and he can't even play the ball that well. He's not good at either thing.
I think he's good with the ball, but physically he's not the best. I'll admit. Physically, he's a player that I like as well. But the fact is, he's playing a position that he's having to constantly adjust to. I mean, he's not a centre back by trade. He's a defensive midfielder converted to centre back. So I'm like, why would you change the guy if he was doing really well at Benfica and the youth teams, and he won the league as a defensive midfielder, then they put him at centre back, and then he came to Man United as a centre back? I was like, he should never have had to be played at centre back. He would have been fine in defensive midfield. It reminds me of Daley Blind all over again. It all went backwards, in terms of he was good for the role, and he was just makeshift into something else. It didn't suit him at all. But yeah, he got beat so easily, but he's having to cover the fact that Luke Shaw lost the striker as well very easily, which is embarrassing. He lost him within a second, and it doesn't matter if it's 1 second or 10 seconds, you lose your man. and it's not going to have to recover. The fact that De Gea didn't do enough to save it as well, like that was.
And then on to the penalty shootout, which was incredible. Like, you know, in the European final too. Well, it went all the way to the goalkeepers. Now, listen, you've already said that you don't think De Gea's stick for the penalties was unfair. He hasn't saved a penalty in 5 years, I think, or something along those lines. You know, Solskjaer did have one sub left. You know, would Solskjaer have been smart, knowing David De Gea's penalty record? Probably De Gea did tell Solskjaer that he wasn't too covered in the penalties. Do you think Solskjaer should have put in Dean Henderson? No, Dean Henderson was going into that game off the back of the embarrassing Liverpool performance he showed.
The fact that he's saved 9 of his I think it's 8 or 9 of his last penalties, I would have put Henderson in. But this is what annoys me about Solskjaer, is he admitted the perfect penalty goalkeeper he's got from his squad altogether. He had Sergio Romero, and he completely omitted him.
He was on the bench. He was on the bench.
Lee Grant's crap. I'm like Sergio Romero's got a fantastic record from the penalty spot in terms of saving them, and Henderson does as well. The fact that Sergio Romero got completely omitted all season, that shootout, him versus Henderson, either or, we would have won that final. But De Gea, he told him openly and honestly, he's not a good penalty. He's not got a good record, and now he's failed to save 40. It's not good for a top goalkeeper to have on the record that they've not saved their last 40 penalties. I think he should have made the sub. I don't think there's any harm in it. Like, I don't think there's any problem with him not making that change. I certainly think it would have relaxed De Gea a bit, because obviously he's got in a situation where he's not comfortable, and he's having to now try and combat his own fear of having to save a penalty, and it's not easy. It's not easy to save a penalty. As much as people think for a goalkeeper, oh, it's easy, it's not. You look at a goalkeeper, De Gea didn't warm up either. He was standing still every time like an opposition like penalty was struck. He wasn't moving about. He wasn't getting himself in a position to keep himself relaxed. He didn't look focused to me either on any single penalty, which is really is also a worry. As if he had just given up.
All the penalties up until the decisive world class penalties. I think the Fury keeper should have saved Shaw's. I think it was probably a weak hand from him. He should have saved that.
Maybe Fernandez's penalty as well. That's another one for me. That was also quite because he did get a touch to that as well. Like so.
All the Furial's penalties were incredible. I think it sums up the Spanish teams in a nutshell. And then even the Furial goalkeeper's penalty was some strike. When it comes to De Gea's, I think De Gea looked nervous, uncertain. It's like he obviously was not mentally prepared for the fact that he had to take a decisive penalty in the game, and it showed because the penalty was. It was terrible. Tansebi and Lindelof took better penalties than what he did.
So did Fred. I don't understand why goalkeepers are given a chance to be given a penalty, taking a penalty in the first place. I don't believe they should be allowed to take a penalty. But oh well, they were on the pitch. They get a chance. I think it should have just went straight back to the first player or whoever was actually on, like who was subbed off. I would have given the subs a chance. Like from both teams rather than the goalkeeper. So it would have been like Pogba, Bacca for Villarreal and all that. Pogba for United. Like give them a chance to get a penalty. Or if you're going to do it, skip the goalkeeper and just go back to the very first player. So it would have been Juan Mata and we'd have scored. But no, they gave us a chance to get a penalty. De Gea did not look confident at all in that penalty. He looked so shaky. I didn't see any sense of confidence in his penalties. And I think he must have knew, I'm just going to have to hope that it goes in. But it didn't. Looking forward now. Obviously, looking forward to next season after the Euros. Now, I don't know if this is a PR stunt by the Glazers. I don't know if this has always been planned, but it does seem like Solskjaer is getting a 3.5-year deal. Okay, yes, he's promoted Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams. He's bringing in. He looks at Mente shorter. Engela got his first Premier League goal against Wolves. Mm-hmm. Yes, he got you to second, but he's bottled every big game. It took you 4 semi-finals to get to a final, and in the final you looked atrociously bad. You're not you're for the attacking talent you have. You don't look particularly threatening.
is it serious? I feel like you're literally making the same mistake again. Like, you give them the full-time job after PSG. It just feels like you're making the same mistake off the back of a poor end of the season, and it just logically it doesn't make sense. The guy still has a year and a half on his deal anyway, without it being extended. Do you see? You'd be better waiting to see what he does here when he gets Jadon Sancho, gets maybe another centre back, see how he competes with Chelsea under Tuchel, potentially Conte under Spurs. It feels like it's a rushed and not a smart. I know you will back the manager whatever you can, but surely part of you starting this could seriously turn on Spurs. Or turn on Spurs on Man United.
It's always at the back of my mind of what's actually going to happen. You look at the teams that have dropped off this year, Liverpool being the obvious one. Liverpool, they're going to be back next season, and that for me is a worry because he'll look to get that team firing again like Klopp, and that's the sort of style that United should have. But if he does get backed in the summer properly, which I do believe he will, because the Glazers, like as much as they want to get trust, which they've never had in the first place, they will spend in the summer. I think they will go out and they'll get. I know you want him at Chelsea, but I think we'll end up signing them. I think we'll end up getting Declan Rice in midfield. I genuinely think we're going to get Declan Rice. I think we're going to get Sancho. Centre-back's going to be interesting because today both Man United and Chelsea came out today linked saying they want Topcis from Bayer Leverkusen. It's a young, energetic, but very powerful centre-back, and he's also good in the air, so it benefits both teams. I think we need a Varane. Personally, I think we need a ready-made centre-back in his prime with experience to go beside Maguire. But all in all, we do need strengthening, but he really does need to. A lot of people don't see a style. I see bits and pieces of a style there, but if he doesn't get back this summer and he doesn't seem to impose any full-on style without it, then it makes you wonder: is second the glass ceiling, or can he physically do more? I think he can, but he really needs to show it. And I think that coaching staff needs to be given the boot if he wants to get the best out of this team. Because at the moment, second is the glass ceiling, and I believe we can win the league next year if we get things right in the summer and we get to hit the ground running. I think we can.
Helly does obviously make a good point. Yes, if Solskjaer gets this new contract, he can still be sacked, but it still just doesn't make sense, does it? Because it will cost United more money, which we know the Glazers hate.
Yes,
it gives that feeling to maybe the players and to Solskjaer that he's untouchable. He doesn't win a trophy, he still gets awarded a new contract. It just feels like
get backed like in the stadium. Like he'll fans like chant his name and all that. And obviously you've got the Twitter fan base. My biggest worry is if you sack Solskjaer, who do you bring in? Because you look at the list of names that was on the original interim sheet before he came in. You had Laurent Blanc, who he's won league titles with Bordeaux.
He hasn't been a manager in years.
Exactly, but he was on the list. He hasn't won anything with
Zidane.
He won titles. Zidane was on there. Pochettino was on there. Like, obviously, I wouldn't take Pochettino in a heartbeat. I've said that all along. I would never take Pochettino at Man United because I don't particularly rate him. Well, but you look at managers, I do not know what is going to happen if they sack Solskjaer, but I don't think they'll get it right. I personally don't know if they will.
I don't want to ruin things because we are going to get on to Conte in the quick hit section. But Conte, we've seen it at Chelsea, we've seen it at Juventus, we've seen it literally just at Inter Milan. If he doesn't get what he wants from the board, that guy goes. It would be a car crash with Man United if he went there.
Mm-hmm.
But I said we'll get on to that. We'll get on to Conte.
That's why I believe there should be, if you are going to sack a manager, the owners have got to go as well, because also I want the owners out, period. But if they keep chopping and changing managers, like the problems are still going to be there, deep rooted. This whole rebuild thing's been spoken about for 8 years. And it's only shown like now that there's a sense of a rebuild is actually working. They just need to get the last piece of the puzzle. But if Solskjaer's the man to get the squad in a fit and proper position, then someone else takes over, then so be it. But it has to be someone of the elite level who will bring in their own coaching staff, and then you'll see something. But that depends on how they go.
So we'll leave it there for Manchester United and Europa League. That was a 44-minute talk, so you got your justification onto it. But onto what was an incredible Saturday night. Obviously, I think people probably understand I had a bit of a hangover on Sunday. You can't blame me, like, can you? Chelsea winning the Champions League, beating Manchester City. Beat Manchester City in the Champions League final in Porto, 1-0. Kai Havertz getting the goal. First of all, you've been a big advocate of the two German lads, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner.
I always will be.
Werner should have scored again. If we said that's something you can probably say on repeat all season. He should have scored in the first half. But it just showed that under the right coach, adjusting to the situation they are in, given they are still very, it shows that Havertz and Werner will be some players for Chelsea, because Tuchel will only improve them. They'll get a pre-season. They're adjusting to a more physical league. It's very different to the Bundesliga. It's not as fast paced. It's more physical. It's more demanding. You're asked more of you by the coaches. I think I know. Obviously, you didn't want City to win the Champions League final, of course. No
Absolutely
one did.
not.
So there must have been a bit of a smile on your face when Werner played really well and Havertz getting the winning goal.
Yeah, I did. Like I've said it all season. Like I will not give any slander to either of those two, because I'm a German fan. I want the German players to do well. I wanted Werner at Man United, and I still do. The man was unlucky. The confidence in him. He really needs a good summer and a good Euros. Otherwise, next season, I fear for him. Havertz, he was brilliant in that final. Fair play to him. Like he played very well. And you just got to take it from there and see where it goes. But other than that, Werner on the ball again, off the ball, his work gets seriously discredited when he's actually very good at getting the channels and working with the ball. But he gets a lot of shit, like, and it's crap.
What did you make of Pep Guardiola's starting team, right? So De Bruyne is up front as the false nine, which he's done. It's normally it's Phil Foden, but he changed it to Kevin De Bruyne for. I think De Bruyne was needed in midfield in this game, in my opinion, but that's my opinion anyway. Mm-hmm. And then he doesn't play Gundogan or Rodri. He decides to go with no DM. He decides to go with Gundogan as the false DM, as I've seen someone say in the comments. Pep once again with Manchester City overfought the Champions League game, and oh my god, because that first goal that Chelsea goal would not have happened if Fernandinho or Rodri was on that pitch.
Absolutely. I think the game would have been a little bit more controlled if you had a defensive midfielder on there, but of course that's the case where they didn't. I thought the fact there was no defensive midfielder was absolutely shocking. It caught me off guard. I didn't expect that at all, but yep, like you said, they overfought it and they lost. So
does this shut up all the hate that Pep is just as good as Sir Alex Ferguson? Does this just shut this debate down? Like, the fact that with all is it 800 million or something Pep has spent now with Manchester City, and yet there's 0 Champions Leagues. Thomas Tuchel comes in with none of his players half a season and wins the Champions League.
Says it all, eh? Says it all. It's just good coaching and recognising the situation. That's how we won that game. So fair play to him. Chelsea's game plan was spot on. It was a 5-2. It was a 5-2-3 off the ball. We pressed City at the right times. We didn't give them any chance to play in the middle. Kante, oh my god, he probably had the game. I think Kante had probably one of his best games in a long time. But he was winning every little ball possible. He was starting counter attacks. Were you surprised at how well Chelsea played? Were you surprised how well structured Tuchel had them? Were you surprised how well every player on that pitch played? What were you? We all knew Chelsea under Tuchel are defensively solid, but were you just surprised how well we stopped City from playing? No, not really. I thought the way you set up was perfect. It's the best way to handle City. Strong defence, keep things solid, keep things tight. When it matters most, get a goal. But you should have been 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
So it says all really. But Man City didn't get going either. Like they had no tempo at all. Like it was alarming how poor they were. But for you guys, definitely thought it was the best way forward. And I've just seen Trent is actually in the England midfield.
He is in the midfield.
He's in the midfield.
I
certainly believe the whole game smart from top to bottom was perfect.
And then so my final point about the Champions League final, because I said the game kind of again, like Europa League final, there wasn't much to talk about this game, but I think as you say that Chelsea were very good, the shape was right, the subs were right, every player played exceptionally well, and you just got City who it's like Pep literally abandoned what he did for 49 games straight, which turned their season around in the Premier League, and he abandoned it. For he knew Chelsea were going to counter attack. He knew the players. He knew the players that Chelsea had in the attack. It just what goes through Pep Guardiola's mind? Like, why did he even bring Jesus on before Aguero? Right? Where was the logic and what Pep was thinking that night? You surely bring on Aguero over Jesus.
You should be doing that. The one thing that's alarming as well is that he made the exact sub in the second half, which is what he should have done in the first place, which is Bernardo Silva for Fernandinho. He should have done that in the second half by starting in reverse. It should be Fernandinho starting, and if he's not doing enough, you bring on Bernardo Silva to get a bit of an attacking impetus. But he didn't. He went in complete reverse. And Gabriel Jesus, I've never rated the lad. I don't think he's particularly good enough. I think Iñárritu's better. It's quite embarrassing that they let Iñárritu go to keep Jesus when it's disgusting, really, because he's shocking. But Aguero, yeah, he should have, in my opinion, started because Sterling is crap.
You back up. Why would you play Sterling when you could play Bernardo Silva on the wing, and then play Gundogan front row, and then Fernandinho? Like, it's literally not rocket science, but he literally made it rocket science by his team selection and the setup. Like, it just defines logic. Why would Pep change something that was working? Like, Tuchel didn't do it, and look what happened.
Ask Pep Guardiola the same question in Spanish, and he'll probably tell you in a 30-word essay that, yes, I'm playing my style like this, and it all goes horrible. It'll end badly, and the fact that he has not, once again, like, he's talked about how he bottled the Champions League at Bayern Munich and never made it to a final. He's made it to a final at Man City, and he still couldn't win it. Like, it's just not gone well for him as well. Like, there's so many problems there. Like, they're going to have to try and figure out ways to replace Aguero, which is not going to happen. They lost De Bruyne, which, by the way, in my opinion, Rudiger should have been sent off. Like, it did not go well there for him, like, losing his creativity. But for me, Rudiger should have been sent off in that final.
Yeah,
he's fractured his orbital bone because of Rudiger's mask.
Is he okay for the Euros?
I think so. I think he'll have to have some sort of covering on his face, but yeah, Rudiger, like, that mask, like, he could have done a lot worse to De Bruyne. Like, he's not broke, he's fractured his left orbital bone.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm going to be biased. I'm not going to say it was a red card because I'm a Chelsea fan, and that's what I'm going to do because, we won the Champions League. I'm going to enjoy it, but it could have been an interesting one. So just moving on then to the conclusion, the Super Cup between Chelsea and Villarreal. It's actually we played in Belfast, which is 30 minutes away from me.
I heard this getting moved location. I heard this getting moved to
Istanbul, but I'm going to live in
for moving the Champions League final. Yeah, I'm
going to live. I'm going to live in hope. Even if it was here in Belfast, even if again a ticket would be near enough impossible.
I mean, Lampard balled it, so you've got a chance. Tuchel's got a chance to win it. So
Chelsea and Villarreal in the Super Cup in August. Listen, there's still signs to be made and all, but I think you fancy Chelsea regardless of it.
They should be winning that. Yeah.
And breaking news, Scotland take the lead in the Netherlands. Jack Hendry with a goal. Scotland lead in the friendly.
Perfect.
I'll say you can tell by Reece's reaction, he does not give an absolute damn about a friendly. So we'll get on to some quick hits because there's a lot to talk about. We'll start off with Carlo Ancelotti. Leaves out literally. It's the maddest 24 hours. Like what happened in these 24 hours is actually insane. Carlo Ancelotti leaves Everton and joins Real Madrid for his second term. Now, for Real Madrid's point of view, this is a safe appointment. This will keep the fans happy. You know what you're getting with Carlo. The players will be happy with it. But did he finish in 10th with Everton last season? He's seen the players that he has. Like, did he just say, "Nah, fuck this, I'm jumping ship, see you later"? Because I understand why he's left. It's Real Madrid, fair enough, but it's weird because he was saying all of these things about how he wants to build something at the club, that he loves the club, that he signed this big deal, big money.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's just seen that Everton team, seen the Everton setup, and just like, nah, fuck this, I'm out?
I don't know, actually. I think it's quite bizarre that he's gone back to Real Madrid in the first place. But the fact that he's went, like, I don't blame him. Like, a manager of his caliber, he should be managing the best clubs in the world anyway, but he could have done something at Everton. I don't know if they've just not backed him properly. They haven't given him any assurances for the summer. I don't know, but if he's not feeling he's going to be back properly, then well within his right to leave.
Well, it is interesting because should have Ancelotti took the challenge, but he obviously, he's on. This is also important for us. Yeah, as I say that he's on literally half the less wage that he was at Everton, so he hasn't left for money. I just don't think he wanted to ruin his reputation. He already finished 10th. He already massively underachieved with a good squad. I don't think he was happy with the squad he got. I don't think he was happy with the goalkeeper. He most definitely wasn't happy with the back line. And I think, and he had no wingers at the club. I just think Jose Mourinho was the same. I just don't think he wanted to ruin his managerial reputation. And he knew that he was going to have another very difficult year at Everton.
I agree.
And so I think he's left because of that. I literally think he's just left for a better squad and a bigger job. Everton are top again. Eddie Howe Eddie Howe is a defensive disaster. The whole time Bournemouth were in the Premier League, even when they were doing well, defensively awful. He's not the man for it. I'm going to be controversial. I'll give it to Big Dunk for a season. I think he's earned it.
No, I don't think that's a wise move. I think they should look elsewhere. I actually think, well, now's a good chance. He hasn't yet. We spoke about how good his teams were attacking wise last year. We didn't have a number 9. I would try and offer the job to Graham Potter.
Would he leave Brighton for Everton though?
Better players, bigger budget, a chance to go for European football regularly. I reckon so.
I think Graham Potter's been linked. He was linked with the Spurs job originally. His name is being thrown about there for the Everton. I know Lampard's not being thrown in the mix for Everton, but Gerrard's been linked with Everton. Like, he's not going to Everton. I think Liverpool fans would literally never forgive the guy if he went to.
Well, it's his boyhood club. I know Liverpool fans think he's one of their own, but he's a boyhood Everton fan and player. So he only went to Liverpool after that, so he was Everton's before he was Liverpool's.
He'll want to play in the Champions League or Rangers. Let's not try and sugarcoat it.
I think he'll stay one more year. He'll retain the league. He'll win the Scottish Cup, and then he'll move on. I think he'll leave after the next summer. Sorry.
On to the next one. Allegri back at Juventus. Now you were saying that Juventus should stick with Pirlo. Did not happen.
That's what I thought they should have done. Yeah.
Pirlo sacked after getting 4th place after Napoli's awful season. Allegri's back at Juventus. Are we going to see Juventus go good again, or are we going to see a Zidane situation like we did just at Real Madrid, where it's a bit of a honeymoon period, things are okay for a while, but then the reasons why Allegri got sacked in the first place resurface again?
One thing's for sure is we know Allegri's recent years, like his record for Juventus or just in Serie A in general is one of the best in terms of the modern era. Like what he's done is fantastic. I'll give him credit for that. Obviously, he won 5 league titles on the bounce. He won a few doubles. He had 2 Champions League finals. So he's done all that. My biggest concern is, why would you go back? He could have went anywhere else. Why would you go back? That means we take a sabbatical from Juventus just to go back. I think it's stupid.
See, this is the interesting thing though, because he was when Zidane left, Real Madrid wanted him as manager, but it was Fabrizio made it very clear that Allegri. It literally was so hard to see how Allegri gone anywhere else other than Real Madrid. But Real Madrid for Florentino Perez just took so long to sort of, and then Juventus obviously seen that and acted extremely quickly by sacking Pirlo and Allegri and literally within hours. So, Real Madrid have missed out on getting Allegri. Okay, they've got Carlo Ancelotti, but they didn't get their first choice manager. It just makes you think that for some reason, I just have a funny feeling this is not going to end well for Allegri. My gut's telling me that he's just walking back into something that he's just going to face the same problem. Like, the squad's worse. There's an issue with Ronaldo. If you keep him for the season, you still have an issue at the end of the season because his contract is over by the end of the season next year. I just feel like this decision for Allegri, it's just, I just have a funny feeling. It's meant to be a sort of fairy tale. Yes, he's back, great manager, but I feel like it's going to go really, really badly within 2 seasons.
I'll give him a year.
You give him a year, he'll be sacked by next year.
I don't think he'll be sacked. I think he'll just walk. He'll realise that he's gone back to a shitstorm.
I think he should have gone to the Premier League. If I was honest, I think that's what he was planning to do all along. I feel like it's just 2 steps backward for Allegri and 2 steps back for Juventus. You brought in Sarri. It also shows that they should have been patient with their managers too. Sarri shouldn't have been sacked, I don't think. I think Sarri was working. I thought Sarri did okay with an average squad. Like, their midfield's terrible. You can't play attractive football with that midfield. Pardo did it. There's a reason why Pardo went 4-4-2, because he doesn't have a midfield to base a team off a midfield. Sarri tried it; it did not work. So I think Juventus are ruining the fact that they're not being patient enough, are they? Like, if you were a coach who wanted to rebuild the team, if your coach wanted to rebuild a team, change the philosophy, play more attacking, you wouldn't want to go to Juventus, would you? Because you wouldn't get the backing or the time to change that identity of the club.
Especially with the director of football leaving as well. It's interesting where they go from here. I don't think it's the right decision for him to go back to Juventus, but he's decided to do it. If they win stuff, then fair enough. Like, you would expect it from him because he's got a good record of winning trophies. But that team really does need a lot of changes. There is rumours that there's going to be a swap deal for Pogba and Ronaldo. I don't think it's going to happen, but
that's not true.
It benefits both clubs in a sense, where it's a position that United can use to fill. Like, we could use Ronaldo on the left-hand side or through the middle in certain games. There's an option there. There's also the fact that it gets Pogba away from the whole scenario of Man United where he's been scapegoated at certain times when it's not all entirely his fault. So it does create an interesting perspective. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see that deal happening anyway. But
onto the next managerial record, because there's a lot of managerial changes in football these days. Conte to Spurs. Spurs are in talks with Antonio Conte's representatives all day. It's hard because we don't know what's happening with Harry Kane yet. That still remains up in the air. We'll not know until after the Euros what's happening with Harry Kane. Should England, Chelsea, should we be worried if Antonio Conte goes to Spurs? Like, Mourinho, he is pragmatic, yes, but he has a system. He doesn't change from it. He is no one that we're seeing with Lukaku or Martinez. He is no one that with his strikers in this formation that they're lethal. This formation and his style of play is so drilled, so organized. It's not like Spurs and Jose when Jose was changing the formation like every single second and couldn't figure out his best team. Conte knows his best back three, his best front two, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Should we be scared if Conte goes to Spurs, or is Spurs going to bottle it anyway, or will he even last that long with Daniel Levy?
I think he should be genuinely concerned if he does take over Spurs, because for a fact he won't take any of that team's bullshit, because there has been a lot of those players that do down tools a lot. I don't think he'll take over the job unless there's some insurances. Like, the one thing in particular is Harry Kane. I think if Harry Kane goes, he won't take over. But then again, if he does, he'll want a replacement in like that that's just as good. Possibly. Like, there'll be something in there he'll want. I think he should also look at the fact that he'll want control of the transfers. He'll want a set budget that he can control. And he'll expect Daniel Levy to back him. If not, will physically hunt him down. Like he will tear him a new one. Like that's what Conte does. If he doesn't get backed, he will walk. So I do expect some things there. So if he does go to Spurs, I reckon they can win something. They've got more luck winning something under Conte than they do under Mourinho.
Just an update in the Scotland game. Memphis Depay equalises 6 minutes after Scotland score. Obviously, he's joining Barcelona on a free transfer. It's a good signing for Barcelona. I think he's wasted his career at Lyon, but he's doing well nil each currently between England and Austria and Germany and Denmark. So France and Wales, I think Nathan's so far hanging on. See, Conte's an interesting one because if Conte does join, as you say, he's been successful everywhere he goes. Juventus successful, Italy squad overachieved, Chelsea overachieved with the squad that he had. I think Chelsea should never won the league that year for the squad that they had. I think Conte made that possible. Inter Milan squad last year were untouchable. I think the only downside with Conte is Europe. He doesn't have a great track. The fact he finished bottom of his group last year in Europe was not good. In fact, and they bottled the Europa League Final the year before to Sofia. Obviously, he didn't do too particularly well with Chelsea either. Though he'll be in the European Conference League. Can be the first manager to win the European Conference League. That'd be really interesting. I'll have to dedicate a video about that competition within itself. But do you think Spurs will be title challengers if he goes there, or do you think that his first aim will be get them back in the top four? Because as things stand, and we say this every single year, but the top four does look extremely competitive, even without any real transfers happening.
I reckon if he goes there, then you would consider them title challengers, but not immediate. But yeah, I think the aim would be get them back into top four, and if they are in the picture like top four with like 3-4 months to go and they're relatively close, then yeah, if they're not too far off from whoever's leading or even the top two, you could certainly put them in that bracket if he gets that team going for the beginning. Because you'll see with Chelsea, like he was when he went to Chelsea, he kept the 4-3-3 going. He kept it as long as he possibly could. Then you lost that game to Arsenal, and then after that, it was like, nope, I was giving you guys a chance, playing your way. You're pathetic, pretty much. And then he switched them to the 3-4-3, and then they went on and won. What was that? You went on and won like 17 games on the bounce, something like that. Like you went and done the record. You done all that. You won 30 games in the league that year. It says already that one game changed his mind on the fact that the team were just dog shit anyway. He played them at his style, the way he shapes football. He went back to the Italian side of a strong defence and we will get you on the counter, but we'll still dominate games. Like Chelsea were still very dominant. Hazard benefited the fact that he was not told to defend, which helped him a lot. And you saw it. So yeah, frankly, like I think if he gets that right with Spurs, if he does take the Spurs job, could do something.
Moving on to the next one, another managerial issue. Pochettino, 6 months into the PSG job, seemingly already won sight. Now, is this because his first job's available and Spurs have spoken to him? I don't know. No, it's hard to read into this, okay? The fact that he wants to leave 6 months into the job when he has Mbappe, Neymar, and all of this. Unai Emery gets that, won the European trophy. Thomas Tuchel has just won a European trophy. 2 former PSG managers. Just to say a lot about the PSG changing room, the PSG board, the cockiness, the arrogance, the big egos in PSG. This doesn't speak about Pochettino. Pochettino, you look at what Pochettino dealt with at Spurs for all those years with Daniel Levy and all. Just to show how toxic PSG is if he's already wanting out.
Absolutely. Like that'll have hindrance on him in a heartbeat. Like it'll be getting to him, and obviously he's got to handle a lot of big egos. Like he's got Neymar's ego, which is bigger than the fucking earth itself. You've got Mbappe to a degree. He's developing a bit of an ego because he thinks he's the best player on the planet. Not yet, but he's getting that ego. He's still humble. He's still a humble young lad, but he's developing that ego of he wants to win more, and he'll do anything to win. But you look at some of the other players as well in there, and you think, actually, do they deserve to be like the likes of Di Maria and Icardi? Like their egos are huge. So he's having to manage that, and fair play to him. But outside of like the politics, like Leonardo as well, like as a sporting director, like I had to deal with him here. But he's in the job for a second time at PSG, and look at what he's done. Like, he hasn't particularly delivered in terms of what you want to challenge, and it's quite worrying. Like, PSG, all they do is bring in like the Real Madrid style of like Galactico signings and the best players to just build a team, but they don't have substance. They don't have a hard-working team. They've just got a few good players, plus the likes of Mbappe's genius and his pace, and Neymar diving around for 25 minutes, and they expect to win in Europe. No, that's why they got humbled by Man City. It's why they lost last year's final to Bayern Munich, even though it was a 1-0 loss. They were still pretty much beaten off the park. Like, they just don't show enough desire to win. And if you don't have substance, you're not going to win the big trophies. That's why Real Madrid didn't win anything for so long.
If yes, they lost the league, but is the French league really an attractive league? If you're a big manager wanting to prove your point, do you really want to go to the French league? I know, yes, they lost the last year, okay, but do you really want to go to that league where either the players just don't care because they know how easy it is, or the fact that it's so easy that the mentality of the Champions League, it's hard to turn around? Like, if you were a manager, would you seriously want to go? I wouldn't. I really would. I
don't know. I think it's a good league to go and like test yourself out. I mean, there are it's not my number one choice naturally, but you look at how the league shaped this year. You had 4 or 5 teams in there challenging for the league. I haven't seen that in such a long time in France. You had Monaco, you had PSG, you had Lyon, you had Lille, you had Marseille, all fighting for the league, and then Lille wins it on the final day. It just shows how strong it's was. So their manager just agreed to join Nice, which is bizarre itself. But I think it's because like maybe winning the league at Lille was perhaps the glass ceiling. They think he couldn't take it further. And obviously we know PSG, they'll do a Bayern Munich. They'll just go and sign the best players from that squad. It'll be broken up quickly, and then Lille will be down in 10th next season if they can't contain their team. But the fact is, like, I think it's a good place to go if you want a like balanced attacking football, like a balanced team where you can get a good young defenders in there that are good in the ball, quick, and you've got a strike force that can cope. It's an interesting league to develop, but long term, not the best to stay in. Short term, couple of years, yeah.
Next one, we're moving on to your fellow club, AC Milan. You're paying my club for the 35 million euros to keep Fikayo Tomori. Are you happy with it?
Tomori, yeah, I think it's a good deal. I like Tomori. He's a good young centre back. He's only still in his young years as well as an adult, so he's still developing as a human being. But as a player, he's got so much ahead of him. Excuse me. I think the glass ceiling's high for him. The fact they kept Romagnoli out the squad as well, he kept him out of the team for the entire second half of the season, and that's Milan's club captain. Like, that's itself deserves a lot of respect. I thought he was going to keep out Simon Kjaer, but he didn't. Kjaer benefited very well beside Tomori. He had a good end of the season, and obviously, like, I thought a standout performance for him was obviously the demolishing of Juventus, the hammering of Torino when we beat them 7-0. We beat Juventus 3-0, and then we beat Torino the following week. 10-0 against the Turin clubs, like 10-0 in separate games back to back. And then we won the last game of the season against Atlanta 2-0, and Tomori once again getting a solid performance and another clean sheet. I hope he stays. And then the fact that we're signing Olivier Giroud as well is an interesting one.
Giroud, obviously on a free contract. He's on a bad backup.
Better than Mandzukic.
I was just going to ask you, but Mandzukic is leaving. I'm assuming there's no way he stays on.
He's going. He's
going.
Yeah, he's been woeful since he joined us. There's no way he's being kept. Not a chance. And Maita's not being kept either. So there's going to be a midfield signing.
To flip your side on, Donnarumma leaving on a free. Now, he might be going to Barcelona to sit on the bench behind Ter Stegen. If you were Donnarumma, do you take the pay cut and just stay at AC Milan for a few years, or do you go and sit on the bench behind Ter Stegen? It just screams a terrible career decision, because there's no way Ter Stegen's being dropped by Barcelona. There's no way in the middle. It just seems like a terrible.
I think it's unwise of him to leave AC Milan. I don't think the fact that he was he is still a club legend. He's been there since he was in the main team since he was 16. His debut against Sassuolo, I remember it like it was yesterday. He had a very solid game. He's played well over 200 games. He's now 22. I think he should have stayed for another couple of years and helped the club win a trophy. He's got us back into the Champions League, and now he decides to go. I mean, yes, we got Magnan for about 13 million, but he's 26. Donnarumma's 4 years younger. Magnan could easily be the backup goalkeeper and compete with Donnarumma to go on and challenge for the top spots, but instead he's decided to leave, and I think wherever he goes, like he'll if he's not number one, he's going to regret this massively. Because frankly, if he goes to Barcelona, like he could get ahead of Ter Stegen, but would Ter Stegen be dropped straight away? No, but Donnarumma's excellent for any choice. I don't know where he's going to go. I honestly haven't got a clue. I think it's stupid that he's leaving, though. I think it's absolutely stupid.
I think I could be wrong. Okay.
It could end up at Juve as well. That's an interesting thing if Szczesny leaves.
The thing is, though, like, Donnarumma's leaving because he's not getting the money he wants, but it just feels like he's putting money over a career. I feel like there's just no club out there that, United don't need him. Chelsea were looking at it, but I think you'd agree Mendy's proven himself that it would be unfair to drop.
I would have Donnarumma over Henderson and De Gea, though. I would have Donnarumma over the two of them in a heartbeat.
Mendy isn't being Liverpool definitely don't. Spurs is a maybe, but then
Spurs is a possibility.
Spurs need it, but then you think where does Lloris go? Navas is staying at PSG, so it just makes you think, why would you go and sit on a bench against Ter Stegen, or why would you go and compete with a top goalkeeper when you could stay in the Champions League with AC Milan, potentially win Serie? It just this is where money ruins football and ruins careers. And Mino Raiola, he's a problem when it comes to this.
Yes, the fact that he's corrupted Donnarumma that much that Donnarumma's now put an historic great club second to money. I think that's hot. Like he could have been an even greater Milan legend. He could have helped the club win potentially an 8th European Cup. I'm not going to say they'll win the Champions League next year, but they could have went far with him in goals, and he's just decided just to pack up and go. I think it's incredibly unwise of him. I think he should have stuck around. He would have been so much better for Milan in terms of competition for the Champions League, the league, and the Coppa Italia, where we could have benefited on free fronts with him and Magnan, because put it this way, his brother isn't good enough. The only reason his brother is because Donnarumma signed a contract extension a few years ago. I would have hoped that Donnarumma's brother left. Magnan was the number 2 backup. Use him in certain games. Use Donnarumma in the Champions League and use him in the league. But instead, no, he decided to leave. So Magnan's going to be the number 1. But fine, no problem with that. I'm just annoyed that he's decided to leave and he chose money.
At the end of the day, with all, even though he loves AC Milan, if he isn't going to stay for the club and instead leaves because of the money, you don't want players like that at your club, and that's just the way football is. No matter how much you love him.
The club he supports, but he's decided to move on. It's annoying that he's decided to leave, but oh well. I hope he doesn't go to Juventus, though. I really hope he doesn't go to Juventus.
If his career falls apart, it's his fault, doesn't it? It's just
fucking.
It's as simple as that.
I'm a fan of his, but I'm just disappointed he's left. I'm disappointed.
The last quick point I do want to talk about. I've saved the best one for last one. Lucky Lau being linked to the Barcelona job now. Listen, the guy he hasn't managed a club in a very, very long time. Maybe the way he's playing with Germany at the moment, maybe will suit the way he'll need to play with Barcelona. And there's a lot of players that he likes at Barcelona. No, this is unlikely. Okay, Ronald Koeman's likely to stay for another season. That's what forbids you. Lucky Lau is sitting there in the background, kind of looking on. Do you think that he should take a while out of management, even though it was international, or do you think he would be a good fit for this Barcelona team?
Funnily enough, I actually think he would be. I think he would genuinely benefit getting back into club football, seeing what he's like. Could he go to a Barcelona? Yes, I think that would be a very good shout. Certainly, especially some of the players there that would genuinely fit to his system. I think he can get the best out of them. So yeah, I would be all for that. See how it turns out. I mean, it has been a while since he's managed a club team, but there's no harm in trying going for a difficult challenge.
What type of football does he play? Is he defensive? Is he attacking? What way do you?
He's a balanced manager, so he can organise a defence very well. But he does like to play on the front foot, like the high press. But he adapted with the tiki-taka style when it came to Germany. Like he incorporated that with the high press, and and they balanced it out very well. That's how they won the World Cup. Like, they played the high press with tiki-taka, like short, intense passing and intricate triangle plays. So, yeah, I certainly, if you look at Barcelona, like, it does make sense. It does make perfect sense, in my opinion.
All right, so there you go. That's the quick hits done. I like quick hits because you get a lot talked about in a short amount of time, and it's educational to everyone who isn't aware. So it's a good way of keeping you all up to date and giving us your opinions on it. So we're going to move on to the Scotland squad. Before me and Reece get stuck into the squad, we're going to listen to Doug's opinion on what he thinks about the Scotland squad. He's currently drawing 1-1 with the Dutch as we speak. This video is in two parts because Doug sent me a long video, so I had to split it over two parts. So we'll start off with part one, and we'll play part two straight after.
Hi Josh, thank you very much for asking me to give you an insight into the Scotland national team. I'm very sorry I can't be with you this evening due to work, of course. My initial reaction to the Scotland squad is I'm very, very happy with the squad. I think there are a couple of players who probably don't deserve to be there. Probably John Fleck is one of them. I know he's not had a good season with Sheffield United. I would have probably added Ryan Gold into there as well. But apart from that, the squad is what I probably most expected. Right back has been a big problem for us as well. We've obviously got Stephen O'Donnell, we have, Nathan Patterson, we could have picked Liam Palmer, who has, been in and out of the Millwall side this season, but he obviously didn't want to go for that. And I think the other thing is, the one thing you can say about Scotland is that they're together as a unit. Steve Clarke has done a fantastic job recently. And we are unbeaten in a lot of games recently. I think it's 13 games unbeaten recently. So, as far as how we're going to do in the tournament, if we start with a win against, Czech Republic, then I'll be pretty confident. If we get a draw against England and then beat Croatia at Hampden Park, the home games are going to be so important for me. If we can win against Czech Republic and we win against Croatia, then we've got a massive chance to go far, for sure. We might even be one of the the good runners up, those third place positions as well. So I'm happy with the way that we're going to go into this tournament, and I'm looking forward to it for sure. It's also going to be really it's great to be at Euros. Let's put it that way. I wasn't alive the last time we were at Euros, so it's been a long time coming. Let's put it that way. But I'm looking forward to how we're going to do. I actually think that we can do well in this tournament. I really do. Who knows? I mean, everyone has written us off. Let's put it this way: everyone has written Scotland off. Keep writing us off at your peril, because we'll do well. We will do well in this tournament, and I think the main objective is probably to get past the group stage, and then maybe see what happens after that. Even if we can get a if we can get second place, and then you play a, you could play like a team from the Netherlands group. I think it's or even the Spain group as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it, and we shall see what happens with Scotland. But for me, I think main objectives is to get past the group stage, see how far we can go after that. But you know what, Scotland probably not expected to, we won't be expected to win it. Let's put it that way. There's far better teams than us at the moment. But what you can see, if we can get further than England, that would be very funny. But I'm just going to enjoy the tournament. Let's see how we do. I'm going to say we will get to the round of 16 and then hopefully get to the quarters. If we get to the quarters, that would be absolutely magnificent. So we will see what happens there. But thank you very much, Josh, and enjoy your stream tonight, buddy. Take care. Bye. That we're going to go into this tournament, and I'm looking.
After what's on to replay. So thank you very much, Doug, for sending this stuff in. I hope everyone enjoyed our wee background music. But I thought the music went really, really well with Doug's voice and what he's talking about. Anyway, that's just me. I love my music for some reason. And so Reece, we'll get talking. As we said, it's currently 1-1 between you and the Dutch. In a friendly, obviously, the fact that you're drawn with the full strength Dutch team when you've got half a squad out is quite that's quite impressive. But I'll get the Scotland team here up on my screen. First of all, we'll start off with Steve Clarke. All right, Steve. I don't know what your opinions are about Steve Clarke, but the fact that Steve Clarke left Kilmarnock, they fell apart. Now they're relegated. They went from playing European football to finishing in the bottom half of the split. Now they're in the championship, and Tommy Wright did an awful job when he came in. So I take it you rate Steve Clarke quite highly, and this is probably your best manager going into the Euros.
He's definitely the best option available in terms of what we've got and what we can have, and it's certainly paying off in terms of where we go from here. So. Yes, my only concern is if he does leave, I don't know who comes in. Can they get to another tournament? I'm hoping it's not another bloody near 30-year wait for another tournament, because I'm 24 and we haven't been in a tournament since I was a year old. Like, it says all really how long it's been. We haven't been at a major tournament since France '98. So I'm hoping that this is a step in the right direction for the Scots, obviously. So.
Just to read something out, this is from someone here. This is from a journalist at the Scotland game. Mm-hmm. Scotland have played that well with a very young midfielder that Frank de Boer, in a friendly in capital letters, has had to change the system by taking Frank de Long off and Gini Wijnaldum, as the Scotland midfield have bossed the Netherlands that he's had to make an early change in a friendly.
I'm proud of my boys. I'm proud of that. And the fact that he's had to take off 2 world-class midfielders because he can't cope with a bunch of 20-year-olds is phenomenal, especially because they're not as much of a quality as them. That makes me proud.
So we start off with the goalkeepers. You've got Hearts goalkeeper Craig Gordon. Who does Stephen Marshall play for now? I thought Wigan.
Is he not still at Cardiff, or is he not? Is he not down that end? No. I know he's in the Championship. I'll just quickly double check. I can't remember his exact.
It was Wigan, but he did leave Wigan. I can't remember who
he plays for. 1 second. Good thing is because I'm on the laptop, I can use my phone. No, he plays for Derby. He's at Derby. Yeah.
So you got David Marshall down, and you got John McLaughlin, who I thought had a very good year. He played quite a lot of football this year, and to give Alan McGregor a bit of a rest, he played really well. So
I believe he should be in the team as well. I don't think Craig Gordon should be in the Scotland squad. I believe it. I know he hasn't played in the Scotland team since 2008, but I believe it should be Alan McGregor, who I believe is the best goalkeeper in the country.
Alan McGregor retired from international duty last year.
He retired for a specific reason, yeah, but obviously age got in the way. But I still believe he's our best goalkeeper. And I like David Marshall and Craig Gordon. He's had a good year at Hearts, but the year that McGregor's had is phenomenal.
Well, Craig Gordon is currently starting here in the friendly. If we're going, again, it's hard to judge. Let me just double check the bench here, because
he was good like when he was younger. Like if this had been the Craig Gordon of like 2006, 2007 in this team, Holland wouldn't have scored, because in those years, like at Hearts, like he was probably the second, maybe third best. Actually, he was the third best goalkeeper in the league, because I would still say Boric is second and McGregor at the time was probably the best in the league. Like, it was coming into such fruition, like how good he was.
Coventry and Wales game, Nico Williams sent off, penalty after handball, maybe handball, but never sent off. A red card and a penalty.
In a Wales game. Ooh.
And the penalty was saved, but in a friendly, that's a bit harsh. So David Marshall is one of the ones who is affected by COVID. He's not on the bench. John McLaughlin is. So would that mean David Marshall will be your first choice, Craig Gordon's your second, and John McLaughlin's your third?
Davy's normally first choice, yeah. He's been the first choice for about 4 or 5 years now. And rightly so. Like, he's worked very hard for it.
Would you start it? Would you start him, or would you start McLaughlin?
If he's not fit to start the Euros, but it can be used later on, then I would maybe use McLaughlin, but that's no disrespect to Craig Gordon. I think he's just not the best he once was. I'm kind of glad Scott Bain isn't there. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm glad he's not there because I don't think he's particularly good enough. Like, that's my worry for Scotland is our best goalkeepers are in their 30s. We don't have any top goalkeepers in their 20s. It really does worry me.
Do you want Peacock Farrell?
No.
Right, hold on to your defenders, then. So, Liam Cooper, Declan Gallagher, Grant Hanley, Jack Cartley. Are they? No. Angie Robinson, Nathan Patterson, Stephen O'Donnell, Scott McKenna, Greg Taylor, and Kieran Tierney. What is your opinion on your defensive options?
Better than it once was. Grant Hanley's matured as a defender since the lambasting that I gave him about 4 months ago. He's certainly improved. Nathan Patterson, he's had a very good year right back. So fair play to him. I think he might be you would expect Stephen O'Donnell to start, but I'm just annoyed that we didn't get the player that I wanted in the position. That there was one particular player I've been tweeting all year that I wanted one player to be called into the Scotland team because he's a Scottish citizen. He's eligible, and that's Tavernier. He's never going to get picked for England. This would have been perfect for him. Like as a 29-year-old Rangers captain, he's goals, assists, defensively, leadership qualities. He's got all of that. He would have been perfect for the Scotland team, and I'm annoyed he didn't get requested to join us. But the team itself is strong. Robertson and Tierney as well will be competing for the left back spot, but they'll play a back three anyway. Probably will play a back three, and he'll be in there. Like Tierney will be at left centre back, and Robertson will be left wing back. McKenna, good centre back. Taylor, he's also very good. Declan Gallagher is one that I'm always been impressed with. Jack Hendry, he's not too bad. And then Liam Cooper, just an experienced option in there. Another one.
Is Liam Cooper the guy at Leeds?
He is.
Liam Cooper's very experienced, and he's good at dealing with struggling situations because whenever you play for Leeds, pressure comes with it. So he'll know how to handle that well. So
absolutely.
Who would your back five then be for Scotland with these options?
If I had to choose, it would be Patterson and Robertson as my wing backs, and then a back three. It will be Declan Gallagher on the right, Hanley in the middle, and Kieran Tierney on the left.
All right, moving on to your midfielders. Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, John Fleck, Billy Gilmore, John McGinn, Callum McGregor, Scott McTominay, and David Turnbull. I'm going to say Stuart Armstrong, to be fair, has had a very good year for Southampton.
Yes.
And he can play as a wide midfielder too if you go that way. Ryan Christie hasn't had the best of years, best this season at Celtic. That he is still a creative presence. John Fleck, I think he just suffered in a bad team. I don't think he's as bad as that. I think he just was in a bad team. He's
getting on. In my opinion, he shouldn't be in the team. I think he's taken the spot of a player that I believe should be there, and that's Ryan Gauld.
That's someone who Doug said too.
Yeah, player for Benfica. He got the final season player of the month award.
Billy Gilmore may have not played a lot this season, but I don't think he'll start. I think he's more there for the.
Bench.
I think he's someone who just benefited from a larger squad that you can name for the Euros in 2017.
I think he's deserved his call up. When he's played, he's shown he's capable. I wanted him in the Champions League final. I did say that to you. I wanted him in the Champions League final to play for Chelsea. Obviously, that wasn't the case. But in terms of like how he's played this season, he's been fantastic when he's been called upon, and he's a player that I rate highly. Even when he was at Rangers, like John Fleck used to play for Rangers, like Billy Gilmore used to play for Rangers as well. And I've always wanted him to do well, but Fleck shouldn't be there. Like he's in his 30s now. I don't think he should be there personally. I think Billy Gilmore's right to be there. He's not going to be a starter. I think he'll be the starter if we qualify for Qatar. I think he'll be in that squad predominantly, but I believe it should be Ryan Gauld, not John Fleck. I'm just annoyed that Ryan Jack got injured. I think he would have been in that team.
I think one good thing about Billy Gilmore is that he can play defensive and box to box. He's a versatile midfielder. Yes. Something that if you look at the squad, you don't have a lot of versatile midfielders. I guess that's something Billy Gilmore does give you. John McGinn, no complaints. I guess he had a really, really good year for Villa. Yes. Callum McGregor had a good year for Celtic, I think. Scott McTominay, he has played centre back for you in the back three in recent times. I doubt he'll do that in the Euros though. Will he?
I think McGinn and McTominay is going to be the first choice midfield partnership, and then you'll have the likes of, I think you'll have Turnbull. Rotating with the attacking midfield position, which I think isn't going to be Ryan Christie. I think Ryan Christie's going to be starting up front with a striker because he's been doing that a lot lately, which is useless. I would rather have a front two proper strikers and Christie in attacking midfield or Armstrong. But Turnbull's had a good season as well. So's McTominay. In terms of him, if he's in a back three, I don't particularly like it. I prefer when he's in midfield.
I don't know much about David Turnbull. I know he's at Celtic too. I don't know much about. He's an attacking midfielder, isn't he? I don't know.
He had a good end to the season. He had a good season with Motherwell the year before. Like he got a lot of goals. I think he got about 20. And then Celtic, he's had a good year as well, where he's adjusting. I'm just glad that the Scottish players are playing at the top level, even if it's like playing for Celtic or Rangers. They're still playing at the highest level in our league. But I think John Fleck's benefited from the fact that Ryan Jack's injured. And also the fact that Ryan Gauld is playing out in the Portuguese league, where I don't think Steve Clarke has even noticed that he's playing out there when he should have been in the squad. Billy Gilmore, he's lucky to be in the squad maybe, but that's like not like a disrespectful manner. It's just the fact that he's still a teenager, he's still developing. He could just be benefiting from a large squad, yes, but it's going to give him good experience on an international stage, which I think is fantastic for him.
I think that you've mentioned a few times that you really, really don't like John Fleck.
Yeah. I haven't. The last time I rated John Fleck was 2010 when he played for Rangers. I haven't rated him in about 10 years.
Right, and then your striking options, you got Che Adams, who had a good year for Southampton. Lyndon Dykes obviously played at QPR. I think he had a good year.
QPR, correct.
Yep. James Forrest is a good threat. I think he's an okay for a bench player. He's okay.
Bench for Faroe Islands, perhaps. But
Ryan Fraser had not a great year at Newcastle, but I guess he's better. And Kevin Nesbitt had a really good year at Hibs. To be fair,
quality.
So was he the one? He was the one at Rangers, wasn't he, on loan 2 seasons ago? And I think unfairly did not get called back. I thought he did well at Rangers.
That's right.
No Ollie McBurney or Oliver Burke. Thank God. I'm assuming you're.
I would have had. To be honest, I would have had Burke in this team. I would have had Burke ahead of maybe Forrest. Ryan. I would have had him ahead of maybe Forrest or Fraser, because he is the one thing that you've got as well is you've got Adams, Dykes, and Nisbet, who are all natural strikers. Forrest and Fraser are wingers. So, but they have played through the middle for us when they've played. But I don't like it when we're playing wingers in a striking position. Like, we should just go for our best strikers. If we're going to play wingers, play them in a winger system.
Well, you don't
use them up front.
You must play 3-5-2, right? I'm assuming.
We play 3-5-2, yeah, or 3-4-1-2. Pretty much. We would play the attacking midfielder. We play an attacking midfielder, and we play 2 midfielders, 2 central midfielders behind that, and then we play a front 2. It's usually like a striker and a winger. Like recently, it's been Dykes or Adams playing with Ryan Fraser, and then we'll make the change. I would prefer if it was Adams and Dykes and bring on Nisbet in the second half.
So you heard what Doug said. Now I'm assuming I like to think that I know you're a bit ambitious, Reece, right? We all know that you have your ambition, you have your ambitious reasons. Surely you're not thinking Scotland's going to go on and win this tournament.
No, but I think we'll get the quarterfinals.
Do you agree with Doug? It's just a matter of even if you beat England, it'll be absolute scenes. I think Hampton Park would be. Is the game at Hampton Park or Wembley?
We play Czech Republic and Croatia at Hampden.
Yeah. That Czech Republic,
England at Wembley, yeah.
That Czech Republic game alone basically says if you go free on this group and all that, I think unless you all relies on it, because Croatia, like, I think a lot of people are maybe overhyping Croatia a wee bit. They are an extremely old squad. They're very limited to the way they can play and the system that they can play. Their coach has openly admitted that he doesn't actually have as high expectations as what he did in the last European, the last international tournament that there was.
Yeah,
Scotland have a chance here. The Czech Republic are a decent team, but they're beatable. Croatia's aging. And England have only had one shot on target against Austria so far in a friendly. When you expect them to be a bit more on the front foot, a bit more freedom. So, I think Scotland are the underdogs and are not being overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no reason why you can't get the third place thing, as Doug said. So
I reckon
surely,
I reckon we could get
as-
5. I reckon we could get 5 points.
as a Scotland fan as a Scotland fan who knows the squad very well, like it's probably maybe one of the best squads you've had in a while. Steve Clark, unbeaten in 13 games, maybe 14 games. You're drawn away to the Dutch with half a team.
Mm-hmm.
Surely you are optimistic. Is like I think Scotland could be that England team. Could probably get a draw against Croatia and probably would be the Czech Republic. I honestly think that you maybe will get a win, a loss, and a draw, which would be enough to probably go through on the group or at least go through in third place. So I'd be optimistic if I was you.
I think we've got the only team I could realistically see us losing to, which would make me sick, is England. But I think we'll beat the Czech Republic. I think we could beat Croatia. The good thing is we're unbeaten 11 games in our last 11 games at home. So we have got a good record at home, and we're playing the two less unfancy teams in the group. The one thing that annoys me is Scotland. Is everyone's written off when it comes to Scotland against England that everyone expects it to be a smashing. But when it comes to Scotland conceding goals, we've conceded 3 and we've conceded 4. That's happened, but it's very rare. Like, we don't concede 3 or 4 all the time. If we lose, it's like 2-0 or 2-1, or we lose like 1-0. We don't get smashed by teams, especially big teams. Like, we don't. I mean, we've there's one game in particular that stands out is the 3-2 defeat to Spain. Like, we played very good in that, and that was a world champion Spain, and we lost 3-2. We don't particularly lose by high scoring amounts to these big teams because we are tough to beat. And you look at the last time we played England, they had to rely on Harry Kane to nick them at the death to get a draw. So the fact that people are disrespecting Scotland in that manner, for me, it pisses me off because I'm like, you wouldn't do that to any other country. Like if it was France or if it was Wales or Ireland, they would get more respect. But because it's Scotland, they're like, nah. But I'm like, you can't, like, look at what we've done in recent games, like Austria as well. We gave them a better game than England have recently, and that was in qualifiers. Like, we deserve a little bit more respect. I think if we do really well, we could get the quarterfinals, but it will not be easy.
If you did beat England, would you be dancing, partying, and singing?
I would get steaming drunk.
Would George Carl hear the end of it?
I would never let him forget it. Like, England fans can sing "It's Coming Home" all they want. The home's at Hampden Park when we go through. England will lose on penalties to a bunch of minnows in the last 16.
So my final point, my final thing to you here is now obviously Doug's in a watch along for the Czech Republic game. You're working 2:00. Are you going to work and have the game on in the background, or are you just going to have to suffer and miss probably which is the most crucial game in your group?
I will have it on in the background. I'll have it on so I can listen. I don't want to miss my country's games. Like, I don't want to miss it. Even if I can't watch the game, at least I'll have it in the background. I can listen in. But my whole work will be like that. We'll all be in the same manner. Like, we're all buzzed.
I don't know. I don't know. How your work works, of course. But like, I don't know if you have to do online calls or anything. But if you may hope that if you ever do online calls, you may hope Scotland don't bloody score.
I will have if in the sense if I'm on I have to take calls as well. So I will have a like lower volume, or if I do need to take a call, I'll just pause. I'll pause the TV.
I'll just keep your notifications off on your phone.
Yeah. If I don't see us losing by like heavy margins to anybody, unless something goes horribly wrong. I think the only way we lose if it's like a 1-0 or a 2-1. We're not going to get absolutely humped like England fans claim. That's my problem with England fans as well. Like most England fans are so up themselves. Like, get your heads out of your arses. I'm
going to say this now while a few years ago because all the games are on. I generally think England are going to bottle the Euros. I think they're going to have a terrible Euros. I do not rate Southgate in the slightest.
I think they'll get out the group, but that's as far as they're going.
They'll get a tough round of 16 game, and I'll put them to this. So my final point to you at the end of the podcast on football related is that on Football Manager with the guys I work with, the Blue Podcast, we are making our own football team on Football Manager, the Blue Podcast football team, and we're getting positions, obviously. So Tom, the leader of it's going striker. I'm the starting right back. Kelly is the starting left winger. Look, Red Hand's the starting centre back. So you could be a centre back, but you'd be the fourth choice. So you'd probably barely play. You could be the backup striker, or there's a starting centre mid spot. You could start on the right wing. You could start a goalkeeper. What position? It's a 4-3-3. So, Reece, where would you like to play in the Blue Podcast FC?
Right wing all day long.
So we're going to have Helly, Tom, and Reece Russell as our front three. Do you think I'll do a good job at right back, or do you think I'm going to be caught out all the time?
We'll find out.
I don't know where to start. It's like a 24-man squad we need. So I'm still waiting for. We'll probably have to stick Doug at centre back, won't we? We always go on about Doug being a big tall centre back. We have to put him at centre back. But anyway, that ends our first podcast. Hope you enjoyed it, Reece. I hope this is basically what we're going to be doing every week. This is how the flow is going to go. That's the aim of the game.
I've enjoyed it. Thanks for asking me to do this. Also, this is going to be our show, so
yeah. You can't say it's my show anymore. You know, that's
reserved for the World of Football podcast only.
So, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be on Monday at 7 p.m. We only did it today because I only thought of the idea on Monday night. It was too short notice and Reece couldn't do yesterday. So, Monday, 7 p.m. on this channel, right here, right now, me and Reece will talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. If there is something to talk about, and then we'll look back. We'll look back at maybe United's treble winning season, or we'll look at some of Chelsea's terrible signs like Bakayoko and Danny Drinkwater, and I can have my rant and such. So it's gonna be an open, fun podcast. But I hope you guys all enjoyed watching it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the friendlies, because that's the only football that we have on. That's just life. And me and Reece will be back with you guys on Monday night. So take care. See you later. Make sure to follow Reece on Twitch and Twitter, because his Twitter's right there. And what's your Twitch again? Is it Reece _Lightning 36 or something?
1997.
I was close. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you later.